So, Eruvin, Perek Yud, Mishnah Yud. Neger. What's a neger? It's min bariach or yated. Two explanations for neger. It can either be like a 2x4.
Oh, it's either this way or either this way.
Yeah, it's like a 2x4 you would put in the doorway. You know, you would put it, there's a hole in the doorway on one side, and you would put it in the doorway from the inside on one side, and it closes the door. Or there's a hole in the bottom, and you will put like a stick.
Like a lock.
Like a stick inside the bottom so that you won't be able to open the door. Min bariach or yated, it's a type of either a 2x4, like a bolt, or like a peg, שתוחבים בכתלים, that you either put it in the walls, או במפתן, or on the floor. לנעול בו את הדלת, so that you can close the door with it. Now, but this neger, יש בראשו גלוסטרה. It has in his head a glustra, a knob. It has in the head a knob. We're going to see why it's important soon. Yeah. ויש גורסים, there are those who says, קלוסטרה, not גלוסטרה, קלוסטרה. והוא כמין כדור עבה, it's like a heavy ball. וראוי הנגר על ידי הגלוסטרה, and this bolt, or this peg, is befitting, להשתמש בו גם למלאכות שונות. To use it for other purposes also. כגון לדוך בו פלפלים. For example, you use it as a pestle. A pestle? How do you say it? Yeah? To chop something. You know, they used to do it like it's a crusher. Yeah? They used to use it for other uses. In other words, it has another use. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you take it out. So Rabbi Elazar אוסר לנעול בו את הדלת בשבת. Rabbi Elazar says, you have such a thing, you cannot lock your door with such a thing on Shabbat. אלא, when would you be allowed to use it on Shabbat? אלא אם כן הוא קשור ותלוי בחבל חזק. If it is connected to the house with a rope, a strong rope, that shows it's only for here, then I'll be allowed to use it. שאפשר לטלטלו בו ואינו נפסק. That you can move it and it doesn't separate. ורבי יוסי מתיר. רבי יוסי permits לנעול בו את הדלת בשבת, to lock the door on Shabbat, אף על פי שאינו קשור אלא בחבל דק. Even though it's not a strong rope. It's just like a, fish line. So enough for him.
What's the problem? I don't understand.
We'll get to it. שאם באים לטלטלו באותו חבל, that if you're going to come and move it with that rope, מיד הוא נפסק, immediately it separates. טעמם מבואר בגמרא. The reasoning is found in the Gemara, שדעת רבי יוסי, this is the opinion of רבי יוסי. הואיל ויש בראשו גלוסטרה, רבי יוסי says, look, the head of it has a knob. Therefore, תורת כלי עליו. This is considered to be a vessel. It's not building material. You have to remember, that thing looks like a 2x4. It looks like a 2x4. You can use a regular, use the first example.
I was thinking it looked like a stick and a ball on the top.
Yeah, but if it wouldn't have the 2x4, the ball on top, it looks like just take a 2x4 and stick it in the ground. In other words, it looks exactly like building material. That's how you build houses. You build houses with the things. So if you're going to put it on he says, if you're going to put it on the regular 2x4 on Shabbat, it looks like you're building. Without the bolt, it looks like you're building. Over here, the reason you're allowed to do it, it's because it has a knob. That 2x4 has a knob on top, which says, this is not a building material. It's a vessel, it's a tool. It's a tool. It can be both. Over here, I think they're talking about wood. Yeah?
And you're saying it's a tool for grinding, or you're saying it's a tool for...
A tool for grinding. Yeah, a tool for grinding. Yeah, I think it's wood. But it's fine. You can have both in your mind, whatever it is. Yeah. Torat kli alav. Think, if you want to use it in metal, imagine closing the door with a rebar. What are you doing? People are going to see you closing the door with a rebar, either this way or this way.
They're not going to see you in your house.
It doesn't matter. It's not seeing. If you're allowed to once, it says when marit ayin is even bechadrei chadarim. It says when we say marit ayin, that's right. It's even.
That's not the meaning.
That's right. That it's even if
somebody, the potential that somebody.
That's right. Even if you're inside your room, it's still you're not allowed to do it. Torat kli alav. So he says over here it looks like it doesn't look like you're building when it has this knob. It looks like you're using something, but it doesn't look like you're building. Ve'en hanoel bo, so that if it has a knob, it doesn't look like nir'a kemosif ala binyan b'Shabbat. It doesn't look like he's actually building on Shabbat. He's just putting, something over there. ורבי אליעזר ורבי אלעזר thinks שאומנם that it's true אם הוא קשור ודלוי בדלת בחבל של קיימה, but if he's there hanging on the door with a strong rope, it says ניכר הדבר שעומד לנעילת הדלת. It looks like you're showing that it has a purpose, and the purpose is to lock the door. In other words, you are showing its purpose. In other words, it's not a building rebar. Usually it looks like a rebar, but I'm not going to use it for building over here. I'm going to use it for locking. Because why? Because it's tied. Who ties a rebar? Nobody ties a rebar. Only when you need it for a stop. ולכן מותר לנעול בו בשבת שלא נראה כבונה, because then it doesn't look like you're building. Because everybody can, even for you, it's attached to the house. You can see it's a part. It has a use not as a building material. אבל אם אינו קשור אלו בחבל דק, but if it is not hung only with a small little rope, הרי כאילו אינו קשור כלל. You're going to come with the rebar, you're going to go like this, and it's not attached anymore. It's a building material now. ולא ניכר שעומד לנעילת הדלת. It doesn't look like it's there for locking the door. הילקח הנועל בו בשבת נראה כאילו מוסיף על הבניין. Therefore it looks like he's actually building, putting a rebar in the floor. What are you doing? Who allowed you to even to touch a rebar? What are you doing with building materials on Shabbat? 2x4s? What are you going building now? And by the way, just don't make a mistake. It might even be building, because you can say the house is not complete until you lock it. Over here, you finish the house by locking it. Yeah, you can say even that this is actually building, not that it looks like building. It is the building. It's the end. It's the end product. It doesn't matter, but it was broken before, the house was broken, and you fixed it. And now you completely built it. Yeah, but you can see that it's possible to say that. ויש מפרשים, this is one way to say the difference of opinion. יש מפרשים, there are those who says, טעם מחלוקותם, the reason for their disagreement, שלדעת רבי אלעזר אין עלה תורת כלי. According to Rabbi Elazar, it says it is not a vessel. And if it's not a vessel, אסור לטלטלו בשבת משום מוקצה. It's not a vessel, it's just there as building material, as a stick. So if it's not a vessel, you're not allowed to move it on Shabbat. It's completely don't touch it. Because it's not a vessel, it's not a tool. Yeah? ולדעת רבי יוסי הוא איל וגלוסטרה בראשו, and according to Rabbi Yossi, because the 2x4 or the rebar has a knob in it, יש עליו תורת כלי, it is a vessel. In other words, you can use it for what? For crushing peppers. The fact that you can use it for crushing peppers, it means I'm allowed to touch it. Yeah?
Even if you don't ever use it for that.
That's right. ומותר לטלטלו בשבת עניין הדלת, and therefore I'm going to use it for another use. Like we had this discussion before. Are you allowed to use a hammer for nuts? So I'm using the hammer. It's actually this is not for the door. This is actually for crushing peppers. And therefore I'm allowed to use it. But the other guy says, oh, come on, the rebar, nobody crushes peppers with a rebar. Even though it has a knob. Come on. No. If you do it, then it's fine according to both opinions, I think. The problem is that everybody knows you don't do it.
But then I can lock my door with it?
Oh, so he says even though you never use it for crushing peppers, you will still be allowed to use it for the door because it's a vessel. It is a vessel. The other side, it's on the vessel. It's a 2x4. It's a building material. That's
It must be a vessel because it's have a designated thing on the top.
Oh.
Bowl. Regular rebar doesn't have it.
True,
Think about
but a regular rebar has it for what? Not for, when I say a vessel, it means not to lock the door, for another use. Because if it's to lock the door, it stops being a vessel, it becomes building material. Think about it.
Is a lock considered as a building material?
No, the lock is not, but the bolt
Why
is,
why is you consider it as a building material?
because that's
And
the,
not a knob,
be- because they used to build with it. That's weird. You imagine a rebar today, exactly a rebar. You build with rebars. You build with 2x4s. Don't use it. If you build with rebars, you build with 2x4s. Don't lock the door with them. Yeah, and even if it has a small handle on the top, even if it has a small handle, yeah, it's used to be building. It's building material. What are you doing? Why are you touching it?
Because I'm saying I'm taking something that usually used to building material. I cut it, I make it a little shape, I put the handle on the top, and now
So
it's a little different. It's not the same.
very
as
good,
the rebar.
very good. If you make it completely different, yeah, then you'll be right. That's what the rope does. The rope shows, that this is not building material anymore.
It's designated for that.
That's right. It shows it's not building material anymore.
Or if I paint it blue and it say, oh, this is painted.
And nobody builds with blue.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like that. Yeah,
Can be changed.
or you make it nice thing.
So
Yeah.
if it has none of that, just a plain rebar or wood, but it has a strong rope, you can still use it?
Yes, according to one opinion, yes, according to the opinion, no. ויש מוסיפים להסבר הטעם האמור, there are those who continue to explain, שלדעת רבי אלעזר, that according to רבי אליעזר, הגלוסטרה תפלה לנגר, ולכן אין תורת כלי עליו. This is your question. It is nullified. It's not important compared to the rebar. In other words, it doesn't prevent you from using as building material. You will still use it as building materials. It's not ornate enough. If it's a nice, then זהו, yeah. ולדעת רבי יוסי, הנגר תפל לגלוסטרה. And according to Rabbi Yossi, no, the neger, the piece of wood, is nullified to the knob. In other words, the knob makes it not a wood anymore. ויש עליו תורת כלי, and because it becomes a vessel. אמר רבי אלעזר. So now we're going to say, so we have the disagreement between them, between Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yossi. So what do we do? So אמר רבי אלעזר, Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Yossi, you're in trouble. You're completely in trouble. I'm going to destroy you now. How? מעשה בכנסת. He says, I'm going to show you a case that there was a shul, Beit HaKnesset. Where's the shul? A famous shul. It's a famous shul. Everybody knew it. Where was the shul? In Tveria. שבטבריה. Yeah? Actually, no. Actually, no. You'll see soon why. It's not the learned shul. שהיו נוהגים בו היתר. This shul, the custom was that they used to use it. They used to use it on Shabbos. לנעול בשבת בנגר שיש בראשו גלוסטרה. They used to lock it on Shabbat with a piece of wood, with a neger that has with him a handle. And you know what happened? One day, Rabban Gamliel והזקנים came around, Rabban Gamliel and the elders came around, says, what are you guys doing? Who told you you're allowed to do this? That's what are you guys? אסרו ואסרו להם, says you guys are not allowed to do this. והרי ראיה לדבריו שאסור לנעול פה. This is a proof. Look, Rabban Gamliel and the elders told us you're not allowed to do it. Rabbi Yossi says, I heard the same story. Rabbi Yossi said, I heard the same story. Isur nahagu ba, but you got the story completely opposite. Yeah? It wasn't that they permitted it and Rabban Gamliel and the sages came and says they're not allowed to. They forbade it. And Rabban Gamliel and the Chachamim came and says you're allowed to. The opposite. It says, I heard your story, but I heard it exactly the opposite. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Isur Nahaguba, it was a prohibition. כלומר, המעשה היה להפך, it was exactly the opposite. שהיו נוהגים לאסור את נטלת בשבת. They never allowed to close the door on Shabbat with this נגר, שיש בראשו גלוסטרה, that has a handle on top of it. בא רבן גמליאל והזקנים. One day, the רבן גמליאל and the elders tell them, how come you don't lock your shul? So he says, we're not allowed to. He says, who told you you're not allowed to? Of course you're allowed to. והתירו להם, and they permitted it to them. Now we have a question, we have a problem. We didn't learn this problem yet. Yeah, but we're going to learn about this problem in Pesachim, by the way. When we're going to start Pesachim, yeah, it's going to discuss this problem. What's the problem? ואף על פי שאמרו, and even though they says, דברים המותירים, it says, if something is permissible, ואחרים נהגו בהם איסור, and there's part of the community that are not, that don't do it. They have a custom to prevent themselves from doing it. Not just one crazy guy. There's a community who doesn't do something. אין אתה רשאי להתיר בפניהם. It says you're not allowed to tell them, okay guys, if there's a custom already established to not do something, you don't go and say to them, okay, start doing it. Yeah, the opposite you do. Yeah. If they have a custom to be lenient, you tell them, no, you're not allowed to. But if something, they're stringent, don't make it, that's their custom to be stringent, right? Hainu, it says, when do we say this rule? Yeah, we're going to learn this rule in Pesachim, by the way. Where do we say this rule? Hainu, כשיודעים שמותר ומחמירים הם על עצמם. It is only when they know it is permissible, and they took the stringency. If you ask them, are you allowed to? He says, I know I'm allowed to. Over here, they actually thought that what? That they're not allowed to. When you think you're not allowed to, that you're allowed to take away. שבחגון זה אסור יותר בפניהם. It says, if they know that it's just a stringency, you don't take away the stringency. That they know it's just a stringency. שלא ירגילו בני אדם להקל ויבואו להתיר איסור. So that people are not going to come and make it easy to permit something which is forbidden. אבל אם הם מחמירים מחמת טעות, but over here, it's a mistake. It's not, in other words, actually they're allowed to do it, and they think they're not allowed to do it. This is a mistake completely. In such a case, מותר להתיר בפניהם.
Even though they מחמיר.
They're not מחמיר, they're wrong. That's the point. If you ask them, are you machmir? You says, no, I'm allowed to do it. It's nothing to do with chumrah. You're not allowed to do that. On that, you're allowed to tell them you're allowed to. And then later on, if he wants to be stringent, let him be stringent. But I'm allowed to tell you, no, you're allowed to do it.
So when you're not allowed to tell?
When he knows that he's allowed to, and he says, I'd rather not.
That's the difference.
That's the difference.
One knows, one doesn't.
Uh-huh.